Hello, my beautiful souls. My name is Nicole, and I'm here to help you reconnect with your light. It's been a really long time since I posted last, and I felt called to post today because we're actually celebrating a full moon in the sign of Aries. I'm sure, like me, many of you have been feeling the intense shifts that have been going on, and it's quite hard to explain these shifts, but what I can say is that I've definitely been feeling all over the place. It seems to be really difficult to commit to anything or make anything work. And for the past 2 years, I've been working on multiple different projects and multiple different things. And it seems that every single thing I try and get off the ground, it just doesn't seem to work. And whilst I've bashed my head against the wall many, many times because of this, I truly believe that everything happens for a reason, and these energetic shifts that we have been feeling is just because we are being prepared to move into a new energetic state. So I'm sure that many of you have been feeling these tumultuous energies and these many changes that have been taking place, but I just want to let you know that this is actively helping your soul to expand. So just to give you a little bit of context, I mean, we have all been seriously impacted by these global changes that have been taking place since the pandemic started. And I am somebody who chooses to look at the energy of things rather than the material outcome, because at the end of the day, everything that is happening around us is just the physical manifestation of the energetic shifts that we are feeling. So since we're talking about the full moon here, I'm going to give you a little bit of context in terms of the astrology. So since last year, since COVID actually broke out, this is basically just the manifestation of the energetic shifts and of the movements of the planet. So when COVID started last year, there was a placement, there was an astrological placement that essentially meant that the energy that this placement was bringing or showing was that the world that we knew and the structures of the world as we knew it were going to crumble. And that was in January of 2020, and just a few months after, pretty much the whole world went into lockdown. Now, many people might be trying to understand what is going on, and well, I'll share my opinion and my views and the information that I have received through research and through meditation and downloads that I've received from the universe. And basically, I think it's safe to say that whilst everything that's going on now appears to be extremely chaotic, and many of us are still hoping for us to get back to a place of normality, I think it's safe to say that that place of normality, or at least what we thought was normal, is never going to occur again. And many of us might be wanting to go backwards, but I just have one question for you. Were things really that great before the pandemic started? I think we've all been affected quite differently by this pandemic, but I look around at the world around me, and whilst there is chaos, I feel like with all of the planets and their placements since the start of the pandemic has been showing us is that we're just seeing all of the things that were already there prior to the pandemic, but they've now just been amplified. And what do I mean by that? We feel like there is a lot of unrest. We feel like there is a lot of anger. We feel like our freedoms are being taken away from us. And yes, that is true. The thing is, COVID and all these restrictions probably just made the restrictions that were already there more, we could feel them more. No, I don't want to say visible, because obviously it's not something that we can see, but it's something that we can feel. And so really, I believe, and the information that I've received from my guides is that the world is changing, the world is evolving, and it's always darkest before the dawn. In order for something new to be put in place, the old must fall away. And this obviously can be very chaotic, but I believe that many great things have emerged from COVID. It's pushed us to be more connecting. It's pushed us, and whilst many of us have been torn apart and many of us have not been able to see family or friends, or we've been feeling a lot of restrictions, it's safe to say that these restrictions have also pushed us to start questioning about our relationships and started us questioning about, well, what actively matters to me and where do I want to be putting my energy? Because many of us were living in a sense of false freedoms. We felt that we had freedom to do whatever we wanted, but there were a lot of restrictions that were placed upon us. And the thing is, because we've been living in a world where there have been so many restrictions, and I'll give you an example. Think about when you were a child and all the fantasies that you used to have in your imaginary world that you used to go into and all the big dreams that you had for your life. But somehow, as time went by, a lot of these dreams faded. And why is that? Well, because the society in which we live has pushed us to believe that we can only live in certain ways, that we must tick certain boxes in order to be accepted and approved by society. But I don't think that that is true. And just because the majority of people are doing something doesn't make it true. And those of us who question the general narrative and the narrative that is followed by the majority of people, then people say we're bizarre or we're crazy or we're weird. But I just really want to reiterate here that each and every single one of us is a unique divine being. And we all have a unique energetic imprint, because at the time of our birth, the planets were placed in very different places for each and every one of us. And this is also true for identical twins, because even though they're born a few minutes apart, the placements of the planets were not in the same place. So it's important to realize that the journey that we are here, the journey of life, the purpose of this journey called life, is to remember who we are at the soul level. And most of the time, if we do not conform, and if the way that we feel that we need to express ourselves doesn't conform with the norm, then we feel like we are wrong. And so many of us are walking around thinking that there's something wrong with us, because when we compare ourselves to our families or our friends or the people who surround us, and just because we don't resonate with the same things doesn't mean that we are wrong. It simply means that we are different. But unfortunately, we are living in a world where we are told that being different is bad, but that is absolutely not true. And now that we have moved into the age of Aquarius, we are being asked to celebrate our differences, because it is in using our unique views and opinions and looking at the world through our own individual lens that we are able to come up with solutions to a world that hasn't really been all that great, or probably been great for some of us, but it was, again, we were living in a world of false freedoms, pretending that everything was okay, turning a blind eye to all the chaos that has been happening in the world. And COVID has just forced us to see what was already there. And so why did I feel called to speak up today? Because, well, today is the full moon in Aries. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Aries is the sign of the zodiac that initiates movement. It is the sign of the zodiac that is willing to take charge, that is willing to go where no man has gone before. So the energy of this full moon is quite literally supporting us to be our individual, unique, visionary selves, to take the leap of faith and to take action to prove to the world that whilst we might be different, we are in fact 100% right and 100% capable of seeing the world through different views. And so whilst there are about 8 billion people on this planet, there are 8 billion different realities that are taking place, because there are no two people in this world that see the world the same way. And the sooner we learn to embrace these differences, as opposed to tearing them down and trying to enforce our own opinions and views upon each other, then nothing will ever change. So I ask you, beautiful souls, to ask yourself and to really go inwards and question, what have you been wanting to take action on, but you have been too scared to because it's different from your family, your entourage, your people? Because now we are being asked, the energy that is coming forward, and the reason why many of us seem to be having difficulty moving forward with the plans that we are taking is because the universe is telling us, no, beautiful soul, this path is not the path for you. There is something bigger and better awaiting you, but until you put your fear aside and believe that good things are coming and that there is beauty and uniqueness, then slowly we will start to realize that we are 8 billion different people that each have a different opinion, because that opinion is helping us to see the world in a different way. And each of us has a piece of the puzzle, but until we believe that, and until we're willing to openly embrace the opinions and views and thoughts of others that may contradict ours but might just be a great addition to something. And the thing is, it's in having conversations with others and those people who are different that we can expand and evolve. And what are we here to do? Because at the end of the day, we are soul beings having a human experience. And the human experience means experiencing the duality of life. And what do I mean by duality? Well, on earth, the paradox is there cannot be joy without sadness. There cannot be lightness without darkness. And whilst it might appear that there is so much darkness around us, that is because that is where we are choosing to look. If we choose to look for the light is just as present as the darkness. But because the world in which we live and the mainstream media continues to push a dark narrative, continues to show us only the dark and sad things that are happening in the world, doesn't mean that there aren't beautiful things. When I talk to a lot of the people around me, whether these are new friends or old friends, many of them have actually had a really great experience with COVID. And I understand that many people have been affected in very different ways. And I have so much compassion for all of you out there who've been negatively affected. But this is a chance for you to look at things in a different way, because the universe is actively asking you to be different and to embrace the individual. So it's important for you to believe that you have the abilities to move forward. It's important for you to see that there is beauty in your uniqueness. And so really this full moon is asking us to take action, because the ruling planet of Aries is Mars. And for those of you who don't know much about astrology, Mars is the god of war, the god of movement. It's a fiery planet. The energy to describe Mars would be when you light a match, that first spark, that is Aries energy. So anything that you have been questioning, anything that you have been thinking, anywhere where you have been wanting to take action to actively change your life, you are being supported. But now what stops us from taking action is our fears. We are so scared to believe in ourselves. We're so scared to believe that even though everybody might think that we're a nobody, we are a somebody, otherwise we wouldn't be here. And these shifts that are happening, these energetic shifts have been spoken about by many of the ancient civilizations, whether it's the Hindus, the Mayans, the Hopis. There are so many prophecies that are taking place and coming true at this time, which is why it seems like there is so much chaos. But when you look at things from a higher perspective, you might start to see that things are happening so that we might evolve. Because whilst it's scary and whilst it's chaotic, was the world really such a great place before this pandemic started? And whilst these things are definitely being amplified, and whilst we're seeing many people being negatively affected, the thing is, sometimes we need to be kicked up the butt and told, okay, it's time to move, because as human beings, we become extremely comfortable. And until we start getting faced with adversity until we start getting faced with stress, we just don't move. So now gosh, sorry, I'm struggling to find my words here. A fire has been lit underneath us, so we may move. So this is just to give you a bit of context about this full moon, but I've picked some cards here to help us understand a little bit more about this energy. And so the first card that we have here is meditate and contemplate. New moon in Pisces. Actually, about a month ago, we had a full moon in Pisces, and the full moon in Pisces was really about connecting to our intuition, was connecting to the dream world, connecting to the world of the unseen, and allowing our intuition rather than our logic mind to guide us. Because the energies that are shifting, well, things just don't make sense with our logic mind, because the world that we knew that we could rationally think our way through just doesn't make sense anymore. So really that was in preparation for believing, because the more we have intuition and the more we trust, and what intuition means, that the more we trust in ourselves, the more we are willing to take action. So really it's important to understand that connecting with our intuition is really helping us to connect to the energies coming forward. The next card we have here is bring love into the situation. And what does that mean? Well, have more love for yourselves. Have more compassionate love for yourself, because it is only when you can love yourself unconditionally that you will start to see the beauty within, and just how much fire is within your soul and how much your soul is yearning for more. But until you can love yourself and trust in yourself and believe that you know what is best for your soul's growth, then you will continue to be crippled by fear. The next card we have here is surrender to the divine. Yes, beautiful souls, because what is happening is we are being pushed out of logical thinking and material thinking and everything that is in the visible to connect with what is in the invisible, because everything is energy, and what happens, whatever is in physical form is just a manifestation of the energy. So when we surrender to the divine, when we surrender to all this crazy stuff that is happening, we will start to see that there is a bigger plan here. But the more we can surrender to it, the more we can surrender to this divine, to the unseen realm, and to trust it and to trust within ourselves, the easier this journey will be. Communication is key. Yes, beautiful soul, because this full moon is Aries, because Aries dominates the first house in astrology, and the first house relates to everything to do with the self and the body. It's all about me. So we are really being asked to speak up and communicate our boundaries. Communicate what works for me versus what doesn't work for me. Communicate what you're wanting to put into the world versus what you're no longer wanting to put into the world. Because the full moon also relates to a time of, it's the end of a cycle. It's the end of an energetic cycle. So it's really bringing us to the culmination point of whatever it is that we have been working on. So whatever it is that you have been working on internally, externally, you're being asked to put that out into the universe, because now it is time. So you are being asked to communicate who it is that you are and who it is that you wish to be. Next card we have here is karmic relationships, because yes, what is happening at this time is, well, we are experiencing feedback from the relationships in which we are, and many of us have probably had relationships fall away. And this, when I talk about relationships, this is not only love related relationships, this is relationships with any other human being. And what I can say for myself, a lot of the people who are in my life today are people who were not there a year ago or 2 years ago, or very few of them were there 2 years ago. So because this is all about energetic shifts, we're also being asked to change the energy that surrounds us. And while the relationships in which we are, these energies affect us. So we're being asked to pay attention to the company that we keep, because are these relationships helping our soul to expand, or are these relationships keeping us in a lower state of vibration? Then the next card we have here is Messenger. Look how beautiful this card is. And for me, what comes from this card is a message is actively being given to each and every one of us, and we are being given the option to choose whether we want to move forward with these messages or whether we want to stay in the same way that we were before. The card here says bringing harmony and balance, and so this energy is giving us an option to bring harmony and balance to our lives. But that harmony and balance can only come if we actively choose to do what is needed to bring harmony. And that might be severing certain relationships, that might be ending certain habits, beginning new ones, whatever it may be. Whatever you are feeling called to do, it is time to take action. The next card we have here is Trader. Exchange energy to create abundance. And well, what does that mean? Again, it means, where have you been limiting yourself? Where have there been moments where you can actively do something, but you are choosing not to, out of fear or out of not believing that this path is yours? And the thing is, just because something doesn't make sense to anybody around you doesn't make it wrong. If it resonates to you, then it is right for you. And until we start to believe in ourselves, things will not be able to change. So beautiful souls, believe that whatever you feel it is time to take action on, the universe is actively supporting you. Next card we have here is High Priest. Intend and create. You are being asked to connect with your High Priest energy. And look at that here. We have the hawk. And the hawk is all about seeing things from a higher perspective, seeing things from a higher ground, seeing that you are here to intend and create beautiful things into creation, to create beautiful things into being. But that can only happen if you believe in yourself, if you believe that you have the power, if you believe that whatever you are being called to do is for a reason. It is your reason. It doesn't need to make sense to anybody else, but as long as it makes sense to you, then that is all that matters. And last of all, we have Shield Maiden. Make plans and focus. Yes, make plans and focus. And Shield Maiden, again, this is warrior energy. Mars is warrior energy, but here with it being a feminine card, because Mars is very masculine energy, and that just means it has nothing to do with the sex that you are. I am an Aries, and I am very masculine in my energy, in the sense that I can be very forceful, I can be very dominant, and sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's not a good thing. And it's about learning balance. It's about understanding when these energies are important. And here with this feminine warrior card, it's about understanding that we can take action from a softer place. When we take action, when we go into battle, it doesn't have to be from a place of war. It can be from a place of peace. It can be from a place of love. It can be from a place of softness. But unless we're making these plans and focusing on the plans it is that our soul is calling us to take action on, then things will simply not change. So beautiful souls, I feel like this is enough information here, but what I'm trying to actively push across to you is that there is purpose in your life, but only you know that purpose. And unless you are willing to go inwards, and unless you are willing to trust the calling of your soul, that little voice inside of you that is telling you, let's do this, but then there's another voice saying, no, I can't do that, that's ridiculous, or what will people think, or oh my gosh, I'm crazy for thinking of that. No, beautiful souls, things do not need to make sense to anybody but you. And that's why sometimes not sharing our ideas and our thoughts and our feelings with those around us is the safest way to protect yourself. But just know that whatever that voice deep inside of you is calling you to do, that is what your soul is urging for you to do. Because remember, we are soul beings having a human experience, and unless we allow our souls to direct our human experience, then our human experience is not what it is meant to be, and we are missing the magic of the human experience. So beautiful souls, I hope that you found this video helpful. I ask that you please like and subscribe to this video, and please share it with anyone who you think might find it useful. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I wish you an absolutely beautiful full moon today. Love and light. Goodbye.